Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And in this video, I'm going to show you my top 5 favorite features inside of Evoto AI. Hey, what's going on, gang? I hope all is well. It's been a while since I created a video, but I'm back today to show you my top 5 favorite tools inside of Evoto AI. Now, I've been using Evoto for 4 or maybe almost 5 years now, and I found out about Evoto right here on YouTube, and I have to say that it's made my life a whole lot easier, and it saved me a ton of money over the years. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, my first feature that I love inside of Evoto AI is the blemish removal tool. If you come from the traditional world of retouching like I did, you're doing everything inside of Photoshop with frequency separation, dodge and burn, micro dodge and burn, which I never perfected, by the way. This tool is a complete game changer to help you speed through that process and other processes extremely fast. So let's head over to the computer and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now, this image is from a shoot that I did with the Noble Hotel here in Atlanta, and you can see our groom here, pretty handsome guy. But if we zoom in a little bit closer, we can see that he's got a little bit of texture on his forehead and his cheek, right? And we want to be able to get that out. Now, without having to go through the old channels of, again, frequency separation and working with a high channel and a low channel to be able to get this out. What we're going to do here is just come over here to Evoto, and where it says blemish removal, we have freckles and acne. Now, I've seen the evolution of this tool over my time using Evoto, and previously it was just a slider. We weren't able to separate between freckles and acne, but since he doesn't have freckles, it's kind of irrelevant. But if we pull this slider, I'll pull it 100%. That way you can see exactly what it does and how quickly it does it. And as we go back and forth, you can see that it cleaned up that skin really well and really quickly. But of course, as we zoom out, we see the face is a little smooth for me. So what I like to do, at least on my male subjects, is pull that back just a little bit so we have just a tad bit of texture there, right? We don't want it to be too smooth like a baby's bottom. And again, they have the separation between freckles and acne. So if we pull the freckles down, you can see that, nothing is changing because it's not really targeting anything as a freckle per se. But if we pull the acne slider down, you see that's where everything is happening. That's where all the magic is happening per se. But I brought this down to about 74. Let's take it up just a tad bit more. There's this little piece here that I'm not that fond of, but I don't mind taking that out. There is a blemish removal tool here inside of Evoto. Maybe we could just pluck that out. Boom, there it goes. Let's get rid of that one. And, maybe that one too. And we'll take that one while we're at it, right? I'm really anal when it comes to these little things, but at least it still gives us a little bit of texture in his skin, and it's not too smooth. That is a huge problem that I see personally that people have when they're editing their photos. They make the skin too smooth, and then people look like they belong in the metaverse. Now, don't get me wrong, there are clients who request that, and more power to them. But if it's completely up to me and my discretion, I'll never take and edit that far. But as you can see, we've cleaned up his skin there significantly, really just with the pull of a slider. And then we're able to just move on to the rest of the image, and we don't have to spend all of that time making those little tedious changes inside of Photoshop. And if we take a look at another image here, this ironically enough was at the Nobu Hotel too. And we'll pull the slider 100%, and you see how it just cleans up her skin so beautifully. We get rid of everything that's in there on those cheeks as well. even around like the lip. It does miss a little, little blemish here, but again, we can go in with our spot healing tool, just take that out, and we're completely done. Now, another one of my favorite tools inside of Evoto is the stray hair removal. Now, since we're still on this same image, it's best for us to just start here. And as you can see, we have all of these flyaways here on our subject. But if we scroll down and we go to the hair section, there's a slider here for stray hair removal. And if we pull that, it just completely gets rid of everything, literally seconds. Even the ones here, all across the top of the hair, around the side of the face, and we pull it and it just gets rid of it completely. And if I take it to 100%, it kind of gives like that cutout feel, which I'm not really that much of a fan of, but I'm liking it at roughly about 80. It looks really good. It still gives us just those few little strays that look extremely natural. And if we want to, we can actually dial that in a little bit further. There's a couple of additional sliders beneath that gives us the ability to, control what we want, right? So beyond figure outline, so that's obviously these things. And then within the figure, so she's our figure, she's our subject. And then we would be taking care of those. But this, I want at 100%. And then within this subject, you see it touches all of this area here. I'm not mad at it at 100% personally. I'll just keep it there. Most of what I wanted to do is confined in the slider where we set it to 80%. Now, one other thing while we're in here, Evoto now has a smooth hair tool. So if we pump this all the way up, you can see it smooths out the hair. Now, this is obviously way too much, but I want to take it to 100%. That way you can see exactly what's happening with each one of the sliders. But if we take that back down to 0, and then we gradually just move it up, I'd say maybe about 30. I'm liking it at about 30, where it looks nice and neat, but it doesn't look like AI. I think that's fine there. Now let's take a look at that with another image. So if we come here to my bride, let's be sure everything here is reset. And we're not gonna focus on skin in this one because we've already established what the blemish removal tool does. But if we just look at her hair and we crank the stray hair removal tool up, you'll see that it's taking care of that beautifully. And then, of course, again, going in with that hair smoothing tool, 100% actually doesn't look too bad on her for this image, but let's dial it down a little bit. Let's see. That's 0. Yeah, let's take it up to 75. Yeah, let's take it to 75. And this just looks fantastic. We got the before, after, and it just helps us to make this image that much more polished. Now, the next tool on the list is this skin retouching tool. And I've seen the evolution of this tool as well over the course of time. If we take a look at an image, this image is actually from the Bokeh Academy Las Vegas workshop that we had earlier this year. For next year, it's going to be March the 2nd, 2026 in Las Vegas. In order to attend the event, there is a raffle. So you have to sign up and then be selected to take part in the event. And if you want details on that, visit bokehacademy.co or be sure that you sign up to our Facebook group to be informed of when that raffle process is going to begin. But if we look here at our beautiful model, Lexi, unfortunately, I used a makeup artist who was not part of my normal team, and they did a not so great job on her makeup, so she looks significantly older than what she does. She's an extremely beautiful model. I'm actually gonna go up here And we're gonna take the freckles and acne up because we wanna soften that skin, get rid of any unnecessary texture there. That's not only natural, but also what was added just from the makeup. And there are some smile lines that I wanna go ahead and get rid of there as well. Now, I don't wanna get rid of those 100%, because again, I still want it to look pretty natural. So we have a little bit of the smile line still there on her face. Let's take it up a little bit more. And then if we go down to where it says skin retouching, we can use our sliders here to be able to even out skin tone and so on and so forth. So let's start with the evening dodge and burn. Now, the evening dodge and burn is more like a micro dodge and burn. It's gonna take the skin on her face and even out the skin tone. So those transitions between the highlights and the shadows, it'll smooth it out. Versus the sculpt is more of a traditional dodge and burn where you're creating a larger deficit of highlight and shadow on the face in order to be able to contour. So we'll pull this even slider. Let's just pull it all the way up so we can see what it's doing. So you see it's pulling it all the way up there. I almost never use it that high, but we'll pull it up there. We'll go down here to where it says texture smoothing. You want to get rid of a little more of that texture. Again, I want to see exactly what it's doing. So I'll take it and pull it up all the way 100% to see what's happening. And frequency separation is really where it's going to kick in and start to even out those skin tones. Just like in Photoshop, we have a high frequency and a low frequency. Let's adjust this a little bit. And as you can see, the changes that are happening to the face, but I don't want to lose the complete shape of the features in her face. But as you can see, we've cleaned that up significantly. And let's actually go back up and get rid of eye bags. We also have the ability here to choose what kind of texture that we want. We could do matte, which her face is already pretty matte. So we'll go to satin and dewy. And that just adds a little bit more pop to the face. Now, as we zoom out, you know, that looks pretty aggressive on the retouch. So I'm actually gonna dial this back more. I did not do any sculpting yet, but let's go ahead and sculpt it a little bit. Bring that texture down a little, as well as the frequency separation. And as you can see, it's done a fantastic job on her face. So now let's be sure that we do the same to the body. First, let's go up to body blemishes. Let's crank this up. That's too much. But it does get rid of like those sunspots and that redness around the chest. So we'll take care of that. And then head back down to frequency separation. We pull it all the way up. Moving on to another image, we can go down here. Let's see, there's a couple. This one's closer. So this is a picture of Mercy, one of our models that we had at Bokeh Summit this year, which was just under a month ago. So if you were at Bokeh Summit, we appreciate you being there. If you did not join us for Bokeh Summit 2025 and you want to join us for Bokeh Summit 2026, at the time of this recording, early bird tickets are still on sale, where you can sign up for an extremely low price. This is the lowest price that you'll be able to get in with us for Bokeh Summit 2026. So head over to bokehphotosummit.com and sign up before the price goes up. But Mercy, who always does a fantastic job for us, I got an opportunity to snag this photo of her in the shooting bays. And again, I'm just gonna do a couple of things because again, I just wanna touch on the quick skin retouching. I don't wanna go too far in depth, but let's pull a couple sliders. Remove some more of that texture there. Let's take care of the body since we're here. And generally, I just use my preset, but I'm pulling the slider so that you all can see how things happen in real time. But if I head over and I use my preset for the high-end retouch specific to women's skin, you can see how one click of a button completely cleans up everything, and we get a fantastic edit on her skin. Now, next on the list for my top 5 favorite tools inside of Evoto AI is the clothing adjustments. Let's pick another image. So let's go back to the grooming image 1 really quickly. So if we come over here to the little shirt icon, this is our clothes and accessories adjustment. And you see that we have De-Wrinke clothing. This was clutch for me ever since it was first introduced. You know that people show up all the time. They're wrinkled, they don't steam their clothes. People have the mindset of, can you just Photoshop it out? And of course we don't want to do that. And in the past I've had to do that. But now with the ability to be able to just do it with a slider inside of Evoto, this has changed my workflow tremendously. So looking at his suit here, we have the De-Wrinke clothing slider, and if we pull that, you'll see it gets rid of all of the wrinkles inside of the clothes. Like the other sliders, you can adjust little fine-tuned things, so like deep wrinkles, so these bigger, heavier ones that are in the sleeves, and then some of the finer ones. You don't really get them as much in this because there's not a lot of detail going on here at the moment, but those are the finer details that you would see in here. One of the more recent updates that they just added is this clothing edge smoothing. So if we look at the edges of the jacket, we have all of the natural folds that typically happen inside of suits. Now, with just the pull of the slider, we can even that out and give his suit a much more refined look. Even at 100%, like this does not look bad. I'll still pull it back just for my own sanity, right? To add a little bit more of those waves and ridges in because that's how suits naturally fall. But that is a complete game changer in being able to clean up your final edits. And lastly, this De-Blemish clothing tool. This is something that literally, I think they just added this maybe about a week ago. So if we zoom in here, there's nothing worse than having the groom's outfit, and which is typically always black, and you have like this lint and dust because lint and dust just gravitates towards black. Now with the pull of a slider, you can completely eliminate that off of your client's garments, and you have a fantastic final image. Now taking a look at this tool with another image, we come over to this photo. This is from a shoot I did last week, and we just pull this slider. You see how that can be too much at 100%. So each individual image is gonna be different, right? So use it at your discretion. But let's see, maybe about, I don't know, 65. I think 65 looks good, looks natural. And then we'll do the smooth edges as well to kind of knock out some of those. Let's see. Let's go about 90 on those. This is a gray suit, so we won't really see anything that would require the De-Blemish. But yeah, while we're here, let's just pull it and see what happens. Just like I thought, nothing. but we were able to take his suit from looking like this to looking like this completely overall without a whole bunch of work. And last, number 5 on my top 5 tools inside of Evoto AI is the background cleanup. Now, I shoot in studio all the time. I do roughly about 70 to 100 portrait sessions a year. And in that, sometimes it's a seamless background, but most of the time there's some sort of textured background. So this doesn't always work on texture, but if we go over to the background tool, you can see that even on this seamless paper, because we're using a little bit more of a directional light, you know, we start to see like some of the folds that are inside of this seamless paper. So if we come over here to background cleanup, we just tick this on, it completely smooths out everything that's going on in the background. I'll zoom in and show you guys. Look at all of these areas. And if we just tick it on and off for you here, you can see it does a great job of cleaning up all of those blemishes on the actual backdrop. Now, in those times where you have color banding, I don't see any here in this image, but I'll just tick it on and you can get rid of that color banding. Typically, I see that, you know, for whatever reasons, when I'm using a black backdrop, I'll get that from time to time, but you have the option to tick that on. And the newest addition to this, which I actually just found out about roughly about a week ago, is this Unify lighting. Now, again, I'm using some sort of directional light. It's not completely overhead, it's slightly directional, as you can see coming in from the side here. And that's gonna give us shadows, obviously in the area where he's blocking the light from hitting the backdrop. Obviously there's light fall off that happens, so the bottom of the image, specifically the background, is gonna have shadow in it. And up in that top corner where my light is not hitting because it's gridded, so light is not hitting the backdrop here, so I have this shadow up in the corner. But if we hit Unify lighting, it completely smooths the entire backdrop out. Now, for me personally, that is too smooth. But again, like most of the features inside of Evoto, once you turn it on, you do have the ability to make adjustments with additional sliders. So this is 100%, this is 0. And if we just pull the slider up, I still want some of that light shape on the background. So let's just call it 45. Before, after, and we have a fantastic final image. Here's another example from the same shoot. We're gonna ignore all of the retouches that we would do just on him. But if we go straight to the background, do background cleanup, we'll clean that up and then hit Unify lighting. See how it just makes the background too smooth, right? It makes it too perfect. So we'll pull that slider back to add a little bit more of those imperfections in to give us some nice shadow, highlight shadow areas to add depth to the final overall image. Now let's look at that one last time on an example with a textured backdrop. So I took this photo earlier this year as I was doing a demo for B&H, and the background of this image has texture on it. So if we do clean up background, you see it just gets rid of all of that texture back there, which is not typically what we want. If we want a textured background, then we want to be able to see the texture that we paid for, right? So let's actually take it one more time. We'll clean it up and then let's just pull it slowly. Let's see. I guess in this case, we can use it kind of like it's adding a little bit of a bokeh effect. But ultimately, we want that texture, so we'll leave it in. I actually like it at about 25, 26, so I'll leave it there. This is before, this is after, before, after. Not too much of a change, but pretty subtle, but it still gives us a different look. Now, that about wraps it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and if you've never used Evoto and you want to give it a try, I have a link down below that you can sign up and receive some free credits to try it for yourself. Now, if you like this content, please be sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and of course, share it with a friend who you think would enjoy this content as well. But thanks again, and be sure to come back and join me in the next video.